SHE-HIV came together to honor South African struggle icon and ANC stalwart Mme Winnie Madikizela Mandela. The group says Mme Winnie's legacy must not die but multiply even beyond South Africa's borders.
They came in numbers to honor a woman who they can relate to for her long years in the liberation struggle. While others viewed her as a political icon and a symbol of resilience, to them she was a fellow religious partner who inspired them deeply.
The government is sleeping, the
government is sleeping while people are being enslaved. Mme Winnie's job was to speak up against such.
Comrade Winnie Mandela.
I'm a direct offspring to her. You ANC members, I kept your children at my place, the likes of Mdudizini, at the time when the Boers were out to kill them, even bribing me, but I refused. Mr. Mandela forgave all those who wronged him.
Winnie Mandela.
Nonetheless, she stood by the ANC that she loved so much. And we are saying, Mama, you are a survivor.
Even the naming of the airports, even the naming of the schools, monuments built, I don't think it will be enough for Mme Winnie. As long as we don't shake the socio-economic foundations of this continent, of our own country, in order to ensure reforms.
And some remembered her through song and praise.
A wise doctor said, they robbed my mother of her rightful legacy when she was alive. Those who vilified her through speeches and books don't think we have forgotten. The pain inflicted on her still lives on in us, but think our fans who attended Pogold.
Rapelang Khatebe, SABC News, Maseru, Lesotho.
And in the meantime, the ANC Caucus now wants to hand over the freedom of the city of Johannesburg to the late Winnie Madikizela Mandela. And joining us now in the studio to discuss this issue is the ANC Gauteng Regional Chairperson, Pax Tau. Mr. Tau, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, let's get clarity first. Which caucus of the governing party exactly wants this proposition done? Is it the provincial caucus or is it the caucus of the ANC in the city of Johannesburg?
Well, thank you very much and good afternoon. The ANC Johannesburg region through the caucus of the ANC in Johannesburg proposed a motion in council on Thursday that the Freedom of the City Award should be awarded to Mme Winnie Madikizela Mandela posthumously. And I think in the first instance it's important for me to acknowledge our former deputy chairperson and the late former speaker of the city of Johannesburg, Councillor Connie Bapela, because it's an initiative that she had been driving in 2016, and it's quite up that it is awarded, even though posthumously, with regards to both Councillor Bapela and Mme Winnie Madikizela Mandela, that council has adopted this resolution unanimously, and all parties have agreed to the motion that was proposed by the ANC in Johannesburg.
But the question, I guess, that is being asked is, why now? Why are you taking this preposition now? Why did you not honor her when she was still alive and when you were still leading the government in Johannesburg?
Well, as I said, it's an initiative that the former speaker was driving. We had made a decision that we should focus on awarding great women of this country. We started with Mme Sophie du Brain, and the following was intended to be Mme Winnie. Unfortunately, 2016 happened in the context of local government and we could not proceed with the initiative, and that's why I thought it's important to acknowledge our former speaker because she was quite passionate about the initiative. She certainly would have been very happy that we've reached this point, and we took the chance, I should say, by proposing this motion to council, and I'm quite excited that the council adopted the motion unanimously.
But did you have to convince the Democratic Alliance and their alliance partner, the Economic Freedom Fighters, or did they welcome this with both hands?
They welcomed it with both hands. I think all the parties in council were welcoming of the proposal and the initiative, and I think that it is indicative of the nature and character of person that in fact is being awarded. I think it is in recognition of her life and contribution, and I think in the past few weeks we've been able as a country, as a nation, and indeed as a world to recognize her much more than in fact she was recognized when she was alive, because we now celebrate her contributions and her sacrifices in more ways than one, and I think that this is appropriate to the extent that history is being retold with regards to her contribution, and the facts are being laid there for everybody to appreciate what she has really done in this country.
And do we have a specific date on when this will be implemented, or will the announcement come from the Johannesburg Council itself?
The announcement would be made by Council. After the resolution was adopted, it has to go through the process of the Speaker, and the date needs to be agreed to. There needs to be interaction with the family about what would be the appropriate date and how this would be done. I would imagine that would have to work in an environment where we accept that it is posthumously immediately after she's passed on, so we also need to give the family a bit of time to grieve and to go through the moment. There are African traditions that we have to acknowledge, and I think it would have to be done beyond that.
Now, can you just walk us through, as a former mayor of the city of Johannesburg yourself, the process that has to be taken through in conferring an individual the freedom of the city and the importance of such a move?
The process is not a complicated process. It is a resolution of council, and now that council has resolved, we need to go through a process of initiating the ceremonial parts of ensuring that a special council meeting is convened where the conferring happens, and we're able to do that. It has evolved in many ways. Historically, granting freedom of the city came with a lot of perks and benefits. Right now, it's a ceremonial civic duty. It is a ceremonial acknowledgement of civic contribution to the city and to the country. And the list of people that have been acknowledged in the city of Johannesburg since 1994 is quite limited, to the extent that the city has been quite careful in the way in which it confers the freedom of the city. She joins luminaries such as the late former President Nelson Mandela. She joins the likes of Mme Winnie. So it's a very limited number of people that have been acknowledged in the city of Johannesburg in this way.
Now, I'm sure you would have wanted yourself, if it were possible, to lead this process where you still mayor. Now, just in closing, do you have any other decisions that you would have taken that you regret that you did not take when you were still the mayor of the city?
Well, in many ways, there are many decisions that you regret, because there are many decisions that you process in a position like being the mayor of the city of Johannesburg. And there are decisions that you think you should have taken at a particular point in time. There are processes that you would have wanted to speed up much more than in fact had been done at the time that you were in office. But I certainly have no regrets about the work that was done under our leadership and the achievements that the city had made.
All right, we have to end it there. Thank you so much for your time. That there was the ANC Gauteng Regional Chairperson, Pakstow, just going through this initiative by the caucus of the ANC in the city of Johannesburg, which will now lead to the handing over of the freedom of the city to the late Winnie Madikizela.